Hey, I can't decide. What should I do for the next obscure old games?
I don't know, man. Do whatever you want. There's like 200 NES and Famicom games on that shelf.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. There's too many. I can't pick one. Oh, River City Ransom.
Really?
Yeah, really. And what's wrong with that?
Well, for starters, it's not that obscure. It's one of the best-loved titles in the library, and beyond that, there's a PC Engine CD version, so I was going to do it for same name, different game. Someday, when I can afford a copy of the PC Engine CD version. Do a different Kunio game.
Well, wait. You mean to tell me you haven't already done all the other NES and Famicom Kunio games? Like, as part of OOG before I was the host, or, with same name, different game?
No, dude, I'd done like one. I did Super Dodgeball like 3 years ago.
Welcome back to the Nintendo Entertainment Celebration here on Obscure Old Games. One of my favorite things is weird sports games, and no series has provided them in quite the volume or with the consistency of the Kunio series. Also known as the Nekketsu series, the Kunio games are a very long-running franchise that developer Technos kicked off in 1986 with Nekketsu Koha Kunio-kun, translated as Hot-Blooded Punk Kunio, and released in the US as Renegade. The following year, the first sports game in the franchise hit with Nekketsu Koko Dodgeball Boo, translated as Hot-Blooded High School Dodgeball Club, and released in the US as Super Dodgeball. The Kunio series has seen release on many platforms throughout the years, but arguably made its mark on the NES or the Famicom. And while the games that were released here in the US were considered pretty good by a lot of people, games like Nintendo World Cup and River City Ransom, a lot of the games in the series didn't come out here. And the game we're talking about today is one such game. Nekketsu Street Basket Ganbare Dunk Heroes! Roughly translated as Hot-Blooded Street Basket, Let's Go Dunk Heroes! Street Basket was the final Kunio game released on the Famicom, coming out in 1993, 3 years after the Super NES hit Japan. It came in the wake of dodgeball, soccer, track and field, and ice hockey games in the series for the Famicom. Given the late release, it's not hard to see why it didn't hit the NES on our shores, but it's a real shame, because this game is great. If you're familiar with the other Nekketsu sports games, you know exactly what to expect. The story of Nekketsu Street Basket is a weird one. Kunio, who you might recognize as Alex from River City Ransom, or Crash from Crash and the Boys Street Challenge, wins a trip to the US on a game show, and Ricky, aka Ryan from River City Ransom, stows away in the landing gear of the plane with their friend Godai, so he can enter the three of them, along with their American friend Johnny, in a 2-on-2 street basketball tournament in the US. That's the actual story. I didn't make any of that up. Dunk Heroes has two modes, a story mode for 1 to 2 players and a versus mode for 1 to 4 players. But be warned, if you want to play using 4 players, you'll need a Famicom with a Japanese 4-player adapter. If you try using a cartridge adapter on an American NES and then a 4-score or a satellite, it won't work, because Famicom 4-player adapters wired into the console differently than the American ones. The main mode is the story mode. You play as the Nekketsu team, who has chosen Niagara Falls as their home court, and you have to challenge 7 American teams from around the country: New York City, the Navy, Florida, Texas, Hawaii, San Francisco, and Las Vegas. You must beat each team twice, once at their home court and once on the Niagara Falls court, to finish the game. Each team's court is unique with different obstacles, weapons, and terrain, and each court has 3 hoops on each side. That's right, 3 hoops. The top one is worth 4 points, and the bottom 2 are worth 3 each. So, theoretically, you could score 10 10 points in a single shot. And if you score on one basket too many times, it will break off, and the other team can pick it up and throw it onto their side to add another basket. There are no fouls at all in this particular basketball game. I mean none. From pushing to goaltending, they're all gone. And there's no inbounding after scoring either. You can grab the ball and shoot again right away. It's continuous action. Each game is played in 2 3-minute halves with the ability to change players after the half, but come on, why would you want to play as anyone besides Kunio and Ricky? When you win a game, you get a present from the team you beat in the form of shoes, a shirt, or a pair of shorts, and you can equip these items to boost your player stats. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. See, if you can't read any Japanese, the menus can be a bit cumbersome. Now, this is nothing an online FAQ won't help, and there's even a translation patch for the ROM. It's not the greatest though. The point is, it's easily handled, just be aware of it going in. Technos did a really bang-up job on the characters in this game. Each team has a unique look, and each player has unique moves and super shots. The Florida team is like the NASA team, so they can teleport both themselves and the ball. The San Francisco team is... Actually, they're like super buff tan dudes, so I guess maybe Technos confused San Francisco with Los Angeles. The Las Vegas team are magicians, and so on. And in the Versus mode, you can play as all of them to check out their different abilities. This game isn't that hard to finish, but it's a ton of fun, with a surprising amount of depth to the gameplay for an 8-bit basketball game. And given that the only other game of this type on the NES is Arch Rivals, well, it's pretty easily said that this is the best game of its type on the system. It might even be my favorite Kunio sports game, and well, I'm not even that much of a basketball fan. The soundtrack is also amazing, just totally great. But, well, the problem is that even though the game's come down in price in recent years, it's still going to cost you anywhere from a C-note to a Benjamin for a card-only copy. Though it did get re-released on the GBA as part of the Kunio-kun Nekketsu Collection Volume 1 in Japan, along with Super Dodgeball. Sadly, this one does some weird squishy stuff with the resolution, so it can fit the 256 by 240 resolution of an NES game down onto the 240 by 160 resolution of a GBA screen. Naturally, it also lacks 4-player support, but it is a lot cheaper, going from anywhere from $10 to $30 depending on completeness. Plus it's portable, so that's nice. Sadly, while a lot of the Kunio Nekketsu games have been re-released on modern systems or download services, this isn't one of them. So it's either Famicom or squishy GBA. But still, it's totally worth the asking price. It's fun by yourself and a total blast with friends. So do yourself a favor, check it out. And that does it for this episode of Obscure Old Games, but come back next month because I'll be back right here with an obscure, old Halloween special.